What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy Marion. This is the Blazer Victory podcast, and I'm joined, as always, by one of my co-hosts, Mr. Darian Smith. Darian, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, and I want everybody to know John is here. He's on mute. Um, John, hey, keep the prayers coming in for John. John is getting better, sounding better every day. I know he hears everything right now. It was so good to just hear his voice and just he just confirmed that he's here. So keep those prayers. This evidence that those prayers are working. They are working. I'm just proud. I'm proud of my brother, man. I know you're proud of him too, Jimmy.
Hey, man, yeah. It's I wasn't sure if John was going to be able to join us here in the podcast today, but he's here trying to control some of the screens. And let's be honest, real quick, Darren. Neither you or I know how to do any of this production stuff. We don't know what's going on. The amount of times before we started this podcast where we accidentally muted each other or ourselves or our screens went black is enormous. So the probability that we're going to do something silly today on this recording, or we don't even know if the intro music is going to play before we got started. But guys, we didn't want to miss another week and another opportunity to talk UAB sports with y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate the support. And speaking of support, we wanted to give a shout out to Cahaba Brewing Company. So today I'm going to give a shout out to Cahaba. I've got my Cahaba cap on, some gear that I got, here recently from Cahaba. And I know we talk about the beer a lot, which we know John likes to consume a good bit of, and we do as well at our Cahaba watch parties.
Yeah.
But I want to give a shout out to the gear, man, because, whether it be a polo I've got that I wear sometimes, I've got the hat, they've got some great shirts and stuff like that. So I like to get some of that stuff. Obviously, the beer is great. I'm a Cahaba blonde guy myself. So, but we want to give Cahaba a shout out. And we also want to thank Cahaba for thinking of John. So Cahaba sent John a nice little care package. So if you guys are listening, man, that means a lot. We know John, first and foremost, is the biggest UAB fan like ever, but he's also the biggest Cahaba fan. You combine those two things, like that's just John Duncan.
Yeah, so it's
So,
like a Venn diagram, right?
yeah.
It matches right there. So, but that does mean a lot, to as sponsors that I know I didn't reach out. Elizabeth didn't reach out. Shout out to Elizabeth, John's wife, and her family. But nobody reached out to Cahaba, but they reached out to John. They sent him a care package. So that means a lot. So hey, local, go down there. I think my place that I love the beer, but I love the current connected. You know
Yes.
me, I love to eat. So go down there and get you a beer, get you some good food, have a good time. It's a family spot, right? You can bring your whole fam down there and you can have fun down there. So head down to Cahaba. We didn't do this as fluent as John. Like it's like
Oh,
he would
no,
have
nowhere close.
yeah, but we got through that part, so we're done with that. So it's so much to talk about with this UAB program, man. We didn't even get to talk about it. We had
Mhm.
of course, like we just spoke. John had a lot going on, and we spoke about that ad nauseum. But so it was just a lot going on, and it's hard to even know where to start because I mean, I still haven't that joy of victory, that joy of victory over Memphis still hasn't left me. That feeling still. I was like in tears.
Mhm.
I was like in tears, man, because it meant so much, right? Because of what John was going through, um, and how we were like texting during the game, and we was texting with Elizabeth, and we was just like, "Oh, we do it for John." And then it started. We was like, "There's no way." I mean, what was your percentage likelihood of us winning that game with the coach just fired? And it was just so much going on. Like we had a bag up quarterback in,
Mhm.
right? What was our percentage beating an unbeaten ranked Memphis that's been kicking our butt lately?
Yeah.
Why would we win that game?
Mhm.
Um, but for that to happen at that time, right after John's surgery, it was just like, dude, I was like at my mom's house. I was like, I gotta, I just, what were you going through at that time?
Yeah, well, I want to share. First of all, shout out to Jeff Kiker, loyal listener and friend. Personally, Jeff reached out to me on that day, if you will, and had a an extra pass to the President's Suite. So I got to stand up there with our man. We shall not say his name. I'm just kidding, of course. I was able to be up in President Watt's suite and some other folks that work for the UAB School of Business and for some individuals that work in the athletic department as well. So it was cool to meet some of those individuals. But I was able to get upgraded from field side to suite side, and that was a really unique experience in and of itself. But I wanted to give Jeff a special shout out because I really appreciate it, and to experience that game and to do it in the fashion I was able to was really cool. I mean, I was walking past in the hallway. I didn't say anything to him, but the commissioner of the American Conference was there,
Mm, mm.
walking around. You see all the big guns. But anyways, enough about that. I
I
mean, for
wonder. I wonder how they felt. I wonder, if they
oh, the
if you could put,
commissioner,
yeah.
he was like, "What the hell?" He was like, I came here to see Memphis, my team that had like a 42% chance of, but at the same time, though, one might argue, I mean, the American Conference is not guaranteed the, spot in the college football playoff. They're the leader in that respect. And, you look at a lot of different rankings and you'd see maybe, if it's a top five, G6 rating, the American Conference is probably going to have four out of those five teams. So, I mean, the American Conference is in really good shape, regardless of whether Memphis won that game or not.
Right.
So, if it was just like Memphis was the only team and, like it was, only them, then probably he'd be a little bit more off put by that, but he's probably fine nonetheless. I would hope that people in this conference, in the administration, whatever you want to say, of the American Conference would look at UAB and say, hell, that's a good win for UAB, and that's a sleeping giant. We need UAB to turn this thing around, because they're one of the premier flagship programs that we chose to bring to the American Conference. That's what some folks forget is like UAB was the no-brainer at the time, right? When
Yeah.
we were talking
Yeah.
about the American Conference, it was like, well, let's just take maybe UAB and no one else, or UAB and maybe this school. And then when it came out, it was UAB and five other Conference USA schools. Folks, we're not saying that, but folks in the American Conference, other teams weren't super stoked about that. But now you fast forward a few years and it's people forget about that. So UAB was a flagship addition to the American Conference. And I would hope that the folks that run the American Conference would be like, we need UAB to be good because that's what we signed them up for, right? Um,
Right. And
but
speaking of UAB being good, let me know about some of those because when we beat Memphis last game, it was a good day. It was a good game for the team. It was good for Birmingham.
yeah.
It was just a good freaking day. I wanted to cuss right there. I had to be
Mhm.
PG. It was just a really good day.
We don't know how to
Uh,
edit this video, Darren. You got to remember because we don't know how to do that.
so yeah, this is this family friendly
Yeah.
program we got going on here. So it was just really good, man. I can't sit here and I can't explain enough. I
Yeah.
can't put the emotion into words. I'm pretty sure how you felt, how I felt, how Blazer Nation felt. Just in that moment, you just realize like everything that we had been through as a fan base. It just
Mhm.
seemed unfair. And
Yeah.
we talked about this every time that UAB has a moment to just a special to be special in that moment. It's just very few and far away the times. We had to go back to what BYU.
Yeah,
Wait,
absolutely.
right. And it's just or when we made the NCAA tournament, right?
Mhm.
But it's just not you can just count on one hand as far as me being a Blazer fan, I'm Blazer fan and player. It's just not many times, but this was so unexpected. And so I just really want to just help put into words the emotion that a lot of Blazer fans they probably wanted us to. I know they wanted to hear from us right after because everybody loves like you either love joy watching or hate watching. Like if Memphis, when another team loses that you wanted to lose, you hate watch. You get on there, you get on the what's the guy that's on Twitter a lot, and he gets on and he just I can't stand that guy from
Is
Memphis.
he? Oh, from Memphis. There's a couple of them. I don't know if I want to.
But they get on spaces all the time, right
Yeah,
after
yeah.
games. So I get in there and I just hate listen. I love it. But
They
when
had
you
a
have
space that was like Memphis loses to an FCS team. It was like right after the game.
but even more than that, I love just like joy listening together, like just joy, just getting together, joy scrolling, just
Yeah.
just saying it's a good feeling. So what was it that you seen from the game? And because we didn't get to talk about the game. If it's any stats or trends, I know you might do a Patreon about that. But if it's any nuggets, because I got a couple things that I've seen, but if you can lay that out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything you said about the emotion behind the game, like I literally stood there. I was the last person to leave that suite, towards the end, and I just wanted to stand there and just soak it all in. But I think the most exciting part was looking at the players. I think it was like, was it Jeremiah Vessel that came around and got a sack? Took the quarterback down. I remember him kind of doing a little celebration like after, and it was like, it was really for the players, especially the ones like you think about a guy like Isaiah Jacobs who stuck around through some losing football here at UAB, but is a big culture foundation of this culture that's been established previously by former head coach Trent Dilfer and the staff. But to see those guys get a big win, see the guys that came in over the offseason and we're signing up for something bigger than what the season has been thus far. Some guys in their final year of eligibility, like be able to have fun. It's one thing to see guys celebrate when you're losing by four scores to Tennessee and they get a big play, but it's a whole another thing when you're at your home stadium. And towards the end of the game, like, the people that were there were standing up, everybody from those in the president's suite to down on the, on the field and everywhere, like everybody was cheering and loud for those that were there. So people were engaged in the game. So I thought that was cool. But, for the game and it started off like you said. I think a lot of people probably walked into Protective Stadium and said, "Well, halftime's probably going to be about 4 o'clock or whatever. Like, we might be able to leave at halftime and go
And
home
it,
and
and, it-
watch."
and it was homecoming, right?
Yeah, like we're gonna stay through
Yeah.
homecoming and we got, all those festivities or whatever. But, I think people were just kind of going because of course they love UAB like, we do and, see some folks and, catch up with some other folks and but not really expecting to win. I don't including myself. I didn't expect to win that game. But it really started off really well. So when you think about just you talked about the quarterback, us having a different quarterback, that being Ryder Burton. And that was something that we weren't really aware of. For those of us that aren't going to practice, we weren't really aware that that was really going to be a thing. And it sounds like Ryder Burton wasn't aware until Friday night that he was going to be the concrete starter, if you will. But when I saw that news come through Saturday, I was like, what the heck? We're already 21-point dog, and now we got to go back up QB. But to see the confidence and the way in which Ryder Burton played early, the way in which the team just throughout the game established the run, we talked. There's been talk about having a balanced offense, but seeing UAB football actually have a balanced offense and utilize really all three running backs in ways in which they're able to play to their advantage. I think about the first quarterback throw touchdown to Iverson Hooks, where he really threw it into a pretty tight window where Iverson Hooks had to high point the ball and get that first score. I thought was a confident throw. Wasn't like maybe one of the ones at the end, like the third one where Iverson Hooks was pretty open. He just turned around, the ball was kind of like laid out perfectly to him. But I think where you have to start with this game, in my opinion, I mean, you could start with Mort or you could start with Ryder, but let's pick a player. Like you talk about the way Ryder played. And Darian, I want you to bring up to the team, or not to the team, but I want you to bring up to the listeners, this moxie, this charisma, this confidence, this energy that we witnessed, some of us for the first time from Ryder Burton in this game. You had boots on the ground earlier in fall camp, and you were able to see some of this from Ryder Burton then, weren't you?
Yeah. And I thought that was important. I thought it was cool to see that carry over. Like, see, I told you we
Yeah.
were in line when we went, right? So when we went and checked it out in fall camp, when me and John went, that was a day that defense, I remember clearly defense was dominating that game. And I was just sitting there like, man, like the offense. Ooh, like, are we? I just, and I didn't know if that meant that we had a, because we fell into that trap before, like, oh, the defense is just so good, but really it was just like, no, the team is bad, you know. So, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go on here and say, man, the defense is so good, man. I'm gonna say the defense made plays. I don't know if that mean that they're good. I don't know what they're saying about our offense. And the ones where they just weren't having a good day. And so when you get the tools out there, and Rodgers, he's smooth selling out there. And I remember speaking on leadership a lot. Like, who is that guy on offense? Because I remember Sarai Bryan and a couple of those guys just
Hmm.
barking and talking and communicating. They're loud, they're confident, and the whole offense was just kind of hands on hips, just kind of just really quiet. Like, I'm just like, dude. And only person I remember saying anything was Corey Milliner, who's back by the way, and we'll talk about that. But
Hmm.
he was just complaining. Like, he wasn't like,
Yeah.
providing any leadership. He was just mad about like play calls and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you get this kid out here with the tools, and he's out there slinging it, and he's talking and he's celebrating, and then he get on the sideline, he's like going down and dapping everybody up, and he's like, "Come on!" He's yelling, he's going over talking to receivers, he's going talking to the linemen. I'm like, that is the only guy on offense that I've seen just provide some kind of leadership, this some kind of galvanizing voice. And I'm just like, dude, I like this kid. That was the first time I didn't know anything about him. And then he had some mobility to him. Like,
Yeah.
and I was ever since that day, I've secretly I remember telling you, and that was one of your burning questions. Bag up quarterback. If you know anything about
Yeah.
Jimmy is going to be worried about that bag up quarterback. And I remember going to tell you like, hey, bro, I'll tell you this. I think this is the best position that we've been in bag up quarterback wise that's been in a long time. So I think you can put your fears at rest with that. You're just like, okay, at least we got that. I remember these conversations. So
Yeah.
it was something that if you go see him, it was that Baker Mayfield-ish type of just confidence in himself. It was just galvanizing, like it reminds me of he's I now the I don't want to get the TJs mixed up, right? Is that T it wasn't no, it's not TJ3. The
Oh,
quarterback.
Tyler Johnston.
Yeah, what number was Tyler Johnston?
He was 17, I think, at the end. I don't know if he wore 17 the whole time. I'm pretty sure he was 17.
Okay. Well, Tyler Johnston was a guy that he wasn't the best quarterback, right? He wasn't the fastest, nor was he the strongest. But he had a certain grit about him. He had a
Hmm.
certain like leadership quality about him. I believe the guys just bought into. It's
Yeah.
I can't really explain it, but I felt like when the time came that he was gonna show up, right? Versus like Dylan Hopkins, I feel like Dylan Hopkins was just naturally talented, and I think you saw Dylan kind of um evolve into a leader. Um, Tyler just kind of was, he was just an output player. Ryder is like the baby of Tyler Johnston and Dylan Hopkins. I think he has both qualities mixed in. I think really highly of him. That was just one game, but just going out to seeing him in practice, I'm just and seeing like his interviews, his stories, and his confidence, like leading for going forward. Steve Irvine did a great job in the banner. Tony, I don't want to misspell Tony. I don't want to mispronounce Tony's
Was
name,
it
but
Tony T? Tony T? Is it
yeah,
last name?
yeah, it may be Sucalosis or something like that. But Tony T, he has fantastic stories on AL.com about Ryder Burton and his confidence, and I love it. And I
Did you
think
listen to Ryder Burton post game? Did you listen to him in the post game press conference? Okay, I
yes, I
was thinking
did.
about you the whole time. Every time I heard him talk, I was like, I want to know what Darian thinks about this because that swag, man, like he just like that confidence level is like huge.
And for a team that has been looking for that.
Yeah.
It is I don't know, it's galvanizing, it's refreshing. It inspires belief. So shout out to Ryder and shout out to his voice and that confidence, man. I just think that it's a belief that not I don't I think not only the players needed to see, I think the coaches, I think the fan base needed to see it, honestly.
Well, let's stick on the player side of things. We'll eventually get to UConn here in a moment, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our guy Strap Iverson Hooks because he's had quite the journey. It's I think he's in his fourth year at UAB, but he's like a redshirt sophomore. I
Sophomore,
forgot. Yeah,
yeah.
redshirt sophomore, but he's had quite the journey. I think I was with both of you at John's house in the Blazer Man Cave. And I think we were watching the Georgia Southern game, and he scored, and it was a week after he had scored in the opener against whatever FCS opponent we played in that Thursday night prior. And it kind of seemed like Trent Dilfer era, first year, Iverson Hooks has been released, and here comes Hooks. And then he dealt with the injury, obviously, and played through what I presume to be an injury a lot of last year. And so, statistics wise, he wasn't able to, probably have the production that he was capable of. But this year, with no better example of against Memphis, he was able to have a career game. So everybody listening to this knows he had 11 catches for 172 yards, three scores. And, I don't know if any score was bigger than right before the half when Memphis had taken the lead again and could have gone in the locker room with a slight lead. And UAB still would have been in good position, but I believe it's been a week and a half. I believe Memphis was set to get the ball to start the second half. And for
Yeah.
UAB to capture that momentum, or what were you going to say?
I was about to say it was I forgot. I know he had caught that pass. It was like one-on-one coverage. Was it the safety? Who
Bracy?
was that? Oh, that was Bracy.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Bracy. That's his name, right? Chris Bracy. Did he
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
to did he transfer to Memphis?
I believe this is his first year at Memphis. I believe so. Yes. His
Okay.
name
Wait,
sounds
what's
familiar.
yeah, sounds familiar. Okay. I was just wondering
Yeah.
where he came from. I knew it was somewhere around this area, but
You
you
know
know,
me, you know me. We go way back with recruiting. I'm pretty sure Chris Bracey was the first commitment to interim coach Bryant Vincent. It was like on the 4th of July. This is like, deep cuts. And I remember he had committed and then they didn't choose
it
Vincent.
was him and another safety
Yeah.
um that went to like Houston. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I think
I,
I can like know who you're talking about. Yeah, man, it's like in the back of my. It doesn't. People are listening to think like these guys are psychos, but I remember Bracy. I think he was like in the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game or something like that. And
Mhm.
him and Waller were kind of decided to stick it out with UAB Emmanuel Waller, who's now at South Alabama. But those guys stuck around with Coach Dilfer, and Bracy dealt with injuries during his time here, but showed he was one of those guys that this coaching staff really hit on in the recruiting cycle. And credit to Bryant Vincent too, because Bryant Vincent, noticed him first, if you will. But yeah, Chris Bracy got
Yeah,
mossed.
yeah, he got Moss, but shout out to Chris Bracey, man. It ain't nothing
Yeah.
but love. We just throwing friendly jabs. You go get your bag. Go get your
Well,
bag. You
here,
have to go take that L with you, but go get your bag, man. We
yeah,
gonna always support Chris Bracey because, like you said, he stuck it out, and
he
he
did.
had plenty of injuries. Shout out to Everett Russaw.
Yep.
He got hemmed up a couple times during the game, but hey, he was another guy, one of the favorites. He made a lot of plays here, and we saw him from a freshman start as a freshman, right, and come through. So shout out to those two, number 5 and 6 from Memphis, and right. So from here on out, as Blazer fans, we're gonna support you.
Yeah.
Even though you're with Memphis, we don't support Memphis, but I understand. You got to go get your bag when you can. I understand that. So do your thing.
Yeah, this isn't me saying this. This is someone that shared with me, after the game was that, also there's the wide receiver coach at Memphis. Why I just remembered his name and now it just escaped me. But Larry
I know he's some. Yeah.
Larry Smith. Someone had told me, and again, this is just what someone had said, is that, Larry Smith, from a talking about Strap, like that, he may not have the same level of confidence in like Strap to be able to produce like what this coaching staff has unlocked and that Strap has shown us. So it was just this combination of like former UAB wide receiver coach. Again, I don't know this to be true, but what someone shared with me, maybe didn't share the same belief in Lex Rapp that this coaching staff did when Trent Dilfer came in, utilized him, and then to do that over a former UAB defender, to do it at Legion Field, to do it on national television, to do it in Coach Mort's first game as interim, to do it in the Battle for the Bones, to do it in the Children's Harbors game. Like that's going to be a catch that we remember for a long time because it was sick as hell, but it was also a big moment, you know. And speaking of
Hmm.
that, you mentioned this earlier, Darren. That moment, you had said rightfully so. This was a moment for UAB. How cool is it that again there were so many eyeballs in this game? Like I don't know what the official numbers were, but people were tuned in largely because of Memphis. I think people were trying to see what is Memphis going to do because they're in that leader spot for the G6, playoff spot.
Hmm.
It was on ESPN2, right? So it was on ESPN2. So people were flipping around, seeing what's going on. It was a close game. You had Adam Schefter, and other folks with ESPN that have a relationship with, Chris Mortensen, Alex Mortensen's father, that know Mort. So that tweeted about, on numerous occasions, talked about Mort on game day. Like there were certain segments where people were just tuning in of interest to this game, a top 25 opponent. So you guys know when you're watching Sports Center or you're watching any sports, you see the ticker down at the bottom of the screen, you're seeing the top 25, scores. And for the fact that UAB was playing Memphis, that being in the top 25, it was a lot easier to see UAB in that game. So it was just really nice for UAB to get this type of notoriety and to have this level of eyeballs on them because they deserve it. And again, we all know that UAB is a sleeping giant no matter what other folks are willing to say or willing to admit that. As Darian's taking a call from Alex Mortensen, we're going to switch to talking a little bit about UAB on the defensive side of the ball. Again, I think that we'd be remiss before we, kind of transition to UConn to not talk about this UAB Blazers defense because let's be real, and we're always real here in this podcast. UAB defense has struggled under this current regime, and in a lot of different ways. We all believe that UAB did a good job recruiting, retooling on this defensive side of the ball, but the outcomes had not been much better. Absent a couple quarters here, maybe a performance a little bit against Navy, but largely the UAB defense has struggled, and they were coming this ball game against a really good UAB, or excuse me, really good Memphis offense, and they were able to hold their own. So I believe it was 17 points total that UAB defense allowed to the Memphis offense. Mort had credited, the UAB offense for, controlling the time of possession, which helps your defense, right, by keeping the other opposing offense off the field. But this UAB defense, effort-wise, which Mort credited them with, was there. You want a perfect example of effort. Uh, the emotions we talked about earlier at the end of the game. I'll share with you a funny story. Um, I'm in the suite, and the spouse of President Watts had turned to me when Memphis had the ball. I think this was after the Nate Rogers fumble, if memory serves me right, and there wasn't much time left, and she had said, "Hey." Uh, can Memphis win this game? Like, essentially, are we in trouble? And I'm like, it's highly improbable that Memphis is going to win this game, which was true, which was true because it's highly improbable that Memphis is going to get the ball, score, potentially kick an onside kick or kick it off and stop us offensively and then score again, given they hadn't really scored much that game. So I was like, it's highly improbable. Of course, Memphis goes down. I think that's a pass in which Memphis threw their tight end. He broke a tackle and ran in or whatever. And then I remember said person looked at me and was like, "You told me it was impossible." And I said, "No, it was. I told you it was improbable. Okay, I didn't say impossible. I said improbable." And then Memphis is marching down the field, and I'm sweating. I'm sweating bullets at that point. But going back to my main point here about effort, was there any better example of effort from this UAB defense than seeing someone like Tyreek Watson chase down the Memphis offensive player and tackle him at the 1 yard line? Because from my viewpoint, I mean, I'm already thinking, hey, that's a score. That's it. And then what are we gonna do? Blah blah blah. And then the whole exchange. You're on mute. You're on mute, Darren.
I'm about to say, hold on. You know what's so cool is like so for anybody watching, they probably seen me pick up another phone. I'm on call. I'm on call.
I
I'm a
said you're on the phone with
supervisor.
Mort. I told the audience you're on the phone with Mort.
So like I'm on call, right? And I just had to pick up. Just cause so like yeah, I missed so much of what Jimmy said and it ticks me off. And I'm like, dang. But then I get back on here and I hear him talking about the effort and Tariq Watson. I'm like jumping, I jump right back in my head, like, oh yeah, think about that. But I know you said a lot, but before you get off, I wanted to say on Iverson Hooks, I know we was talking about him like way back. It's so cool because Iverson Strap, he was like the forgotten one.
Yeah.
He got injured, like you talked about. He was the star, and everybody remember, like in Georgia. I mean, this is when we had like Amari Thomas, and true
Hmm.
freshman. It was Iverson Hooks that was like was the guy that was popping onto the scene hard, and then bam, injuries. So for 2 years, he's kind of just been battling injuries and just kind of forgotten about, just working his way back. And in my head, I remember every time we would do these rosters, we would think about, man, we would be like, we got Amari, we got Cam, don't forget about Hooks. Y'all remember
Hmm.
Hooks, so we would always hype that, and it just never really came to fruition. But now to see him basically not only back, but just he's better, like that's it. I just didn't want to just skip over that. Like it's cool to just see somebody that's been with the Blazers for so long, battled through
Yeah.
so much adversity, probably had a lot of dark moments. Local
Yeah.
guy, Pike Road, I believe, high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, just to go through that, man, he deserves everything that he's receiving right now. So, and
How
hopefully,
special is that, Darian? You mentioned this before we recorded. Like you mentioned, local guy. Like these are the guys that there are this caliber of player in the state of Alabama that UAB hasn't necessarily gotten, here as of late, which isn't, throwing shade at anybody in particular, but that's really special to us. We love UAB, we love the state of Alabama. Like to see someone from our state, and then we've got someone we haven't really talked about, interim coach Mort right now, but we've got somebody that's been reiterating the importance of that, and that's been showing up on sidelines. Vestavia was against Hoover last Friday, I think it was. I thought it was really interesting that tweet that somebody took in a picture of him. Like, I won't say it went viral, but it had like 200 likes on. Like, people were just like, we people are really loving more. I know we haven't talked about more. I know we were going to throw that in there, but like I just wanted to, say with hooks, like when you said local product, like it gets me really excited because there's so much. There's a lot of those guys out there that can play, and hopefully for regardless of who's going to be our coach, that we get back to an emphasis of really recruiting this Alabama State.
yeah, and I was thinking about this, and I'm just seeing the guys that's out there making plays, and I'm just like, dude, I think I think we over indexed each way. So the first year it was like a whole bunch of high school dudes and then just sprinkle in a little bit of transfers here and there. Then it was like, it's scrap that. We're going all transfers. And I'm just like, no, then it's just a couple of high school here and there. But looking at the guys making plays, and I'm like, man, we do a really good job recruiting high school guys. I
Mhm.
even like number 90. I believe his name is Zach Johnson, right? Defensive end for
Yeah.
the Blazers. I like seeing him play because if we're talking about a guy, an individual that he has moves, he has repertoire. Like it's not he'll come out with a plan, right? It's like a get up field, spin, come back, rip through. I'm like, man, I like how this guy. I'm excited about him, right? It's a couple of high school guys, Chris Burge, one of the guys that I always been a favorite of,
Hmm.
and he's kind of the opposite. I wish he had more moves and repertoire, but he has the natural burst, the power, the speed, right? And if he's gonna keep developing. And I'm all that to say is looking at these guys, we got Corey Milliner. We know what he can do when he got his head on straight. He's actually out on the field. He's one of the best people on the field, right? So hopefully that's just the indication of keep recruiting these high school kids. Let's have a little bit more balance with it. Let's not over index one way or another. I'm back to getting excited about recruiting high school, especially in this state, especially in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been cool to see more talk about that ad nauseum, in these interviews. He's mentioned it a couple times.
Mhm.
So I think he's gonna put his flavor on it. And you know what? But I'm gonna just talk about the game real quick. I want to talk about before I get to Mort because I feel like I can go in so many places because it's so much that has happened and we haven't been able to talk during the game. We talked about the run game and how the run game got going. But if you look in the beginning, if you look in the first half, especially kind of in that first quarter, you see that, especially on pass plays, Memphis was able to kind of generate some pressure. If you go back, we had a couple hits on the quarterback. And probably everything probably didn't result in a sack, but it was some pressure there.
Hmm.
You had some runs that just weren't as successful. I want you to go back and look and see the games. When we say games, we say, the stunts, the TE stunts, the ET, or you got the linebackers with the TE, the TT stunts with the tackles. D- Basically, one just pick off a lineman and the other just loop around. That has given our offensive line problems all year. One thing that they talked about, I believe in the Banner article, was the pace and how we kind of slow down instead of trying to be this Tennessee lookalike team that we go so fast and we get to the line and we can out athlete you. Listen, I play offensive line as a center. I always liked when I had time to identify. Hey, Mike is here. This is what we're doing. I love having time to identify. Your pace can still be quick. You can still get back on the ball and line up, but that gives you time to look to the side, get the play in. Okay, bam, you can identify. Guess what? They still can't substitute, especially if you didn't substitute. So your pace is still quick, but you just slow down. You slow down the actual snap time, if that makes sense. So you can identify it. To me, I think there's no mistake in how we slow down the actually time in between snapping the ball and how how less mistakes that we had. Um, just identification wise, it felt like guys were where they supposed to be. So now we all get on the same page. Bam, it just worked so good. Shout out to Kyrick Mason. Logan Moore went down. Kyrick Mason went in at right tackle, filled in really, really well. He was another guy that we liked, that we recruited, and it paid off right there. Um, so I think this team found, Jimmy, a word that we have been looking for a lot. Identity. I think we got something that we can lean our hat on right here and say, hey, we got good running backs. We got an offensive line when given time to identify, they can create lanes and not have these mistakes where we have these TFLs and sacks, you know, and everybody's on the same page. So I just really wanted to give a shout out to the offensive line and Mort for like going this different direction. And I feel like we do have an identity offensively that we can lean on, just kind of slowing down our snap time, but still with a quick pace and leaning on the run game, then letting our quarterback settle in. He threw some freaking darts too. I don't, well, a lot of time when people say settle in, you think like little swing passes or little screen passes or some safe hitches. Dude, he threw some darts that was like in triple coverage. I'm like, whoa, like that was some tough throws, like very impressive throws. So, or how about when we was like, I believe it was third down and we were coming out our own end zone and for hooks for that big pass play that was like 20, 30 something yards. All of these, that was impressive. So I am excited. And that's the thing that has me more excited. Well, two things that has me excited. Offensively, I feel like we found an identity. I'm like, man, this can be something that we can truly lean on. And secondly, the response of our defense. How our defense just responded every single time. Was it an interception? They responded. Fumble, they responded. And I'm just like, this is so hopeful because in the past, it was kind of like, mm, you know what's gonna go on. It's a short field. our defense gets scored on, you kind of just feel it. No, our defense was up to the task every time, and sudden changes, and they had our offense back, and it felt like a team. It felt like offense was working for the defense, and defense was working for the offense, and special teams was helping them out. I'm just like, man, this is this this is complementary football, right? And so everything felt cohesive, not only just offensive line identification, but the play calling, slowing down the pace, defense getting rest, offense actually finishing drives, defense stepping up to the challenge when it was sudden change, getting stops on fourth downs, sticky coverage. This is the first time I felt like that our defensive backfield had really sticky coverage. A lot of the pressure and sacks we had was because we had tight coverage. Just I don't know, man. Like I don't know I don't know how that phenomenon came to be, but I know the dismissal of one head coach. It could not, JB. It couldn't be the reason that why we just seem so cohesive all over the board. The cohesiveness just seemed there defensively, offensively, receivers, defensive backfield. I can't just put that on one head coach.
No, I think it could be a little bit reckless to be like, hey, it's all because there was a dismissal and a change of guard. But I think it also would be potentially reckless not to acknowledge that, it certainly did make a difference. I look at things in that ball game and I look at things like third down conversions. I think UAB was 9 of 13 on third downs, and you look at the rush attempts, some things I'll call out in the stats and trends episode. I thought that the game was managed really well. Like, Coach Mortensen's got like this like just poise and calmness about him, and like I don't know. He gives a lot of confidence, in me, and that he just seems like he's a highly, and not that other coaches that we've had have not been the same way, but he just gives me that like this guy is all ball. Like he just like, I don't know his personal situation, but he just screams to me like someone that just like is just all about football, all about UAB right now. What's he doing on Friday night? He's at Vestavia Hills and Hoover. And like I want somebody that's just like all ball. Like we're not here to talk about nothing else. We're here to talk about UAB football. And, I think that he managed the game really well. Look at things like timeouts. We've had other situations where you might have a previous head coach, not even talking about Coach Dilford, might blow two timeouts in the first 10 minutes of the first quarter, and you don't even have a timeout at the end of the game. But I look at this play calling on third down. I think it was you and I talked after the game. It wasn't just the run game, but it was like the scheme, that he was operating in the run game, the run play calls that he had. It wasn't like just going straight up the middle, over and
It
over
was
and over
very it was
again.
very creative and
Yeah.
diverse. I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
And it was outside script. We had a good script, first possession, but it was consistent. Now, I think it was towards the end of the game. We didn't convert late to keep Memphis away from having that last possession with an opportunity to tie the game, put it in overtime. But other than that, when you convert at the whatever the rate was, third down conversions, I thought was just really good. He had confidence in his guys, so he just did an all around good game. And we haven't talked a lot about Mort. There'll be plenty of time to talk about Mort, but I mean, and we're not going to talk about the coaching search really today, because it's still early. Like we got 5 games left, and let's see what happens. Like this UAB team still has all the goals we talked about at the beginning of the season with bowl eligibility and whatever. Like all that's still on the table. It might be unlikely, but at the same time, you just beat the hardest team left on your schedule at home, and you may not win another game all season, or you may not lose another game all season. Like everything is still on the table right now. I know Mort has been very adamant about are you going to be satisfied you being the players, but us as fans too, are we satisfied with winning this
No,
game? Is this our Super Bowl? Or are we like, wait, no, this was a reminder of what this sleeping giant is here in this Birmingham, Alabama market. And this is just scratching the surface, and we have so much more room to grow. And we're going to be pissed off as hell if we don't get a bowl game. Like, why not? Like, I think that we still should be striving for that, and it's in front of us. So hopefully, the players. We're well past Memphis at this point. We needed to talk about it today because we just wanted to do that with y'all. And us three haven't really been able to sit down and talk much about it either. So this has been a good thing to do. But we've got to look ahead to UConn a little bit. So big game coming up. By the time you are listening to this, you're probably going to be, it might be, what's the day? Tuesday, it might be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before you're hearing this. And UAB's got a nationally televised game in Connecticut, in Hartford, Connecticut, out of all places, on Saturday. Not too far
Hmm.
in the backyard of ESPN, Bristol, Connecticut. I'm not sure the, difference there, distance wise, but it's kind of eerie that, Coach Mort is going to be able to go back up to a place in which his father, made such an impact. So it wouldn't surprise me to kind of continue to see this same kind of storyline from ESPN and colleagues there that are promoting this game. But you look at a UConn team that is 5-3, that's beaten a Boston College team that's in the Power Four, if you will, if you want to call it that. And they've had some other games. I think they beat an FIU team by a whole bunch. I'm trying to go back and remember exactly who else they played this year. It's not like a schedule
Think
where
I think all three of their losses came in overtime as well.
yeah, yeah. You one of my keys to victory is get this game to overtime because they're 0-3 in overtime. But yeah, so um, going back to UConn, looking at their schedule, they beat a Central Connecticut State, whatever. They lost to Syracuse and Delaware in back-to-back weeks in overtime, so easily games they could have won. They beat Ball State and Buffalo in close matchups. Blitzed FIU. Won by two scores against Boston College and most recently lost against Rice on the road in double overtime. And so, nothing on here that really, is like, oh my gosh, what an incredible win. But also, they've taken care of business. And this is a team led by, a former NFL coach, Jim Mora. He knows how to run a program. He beat us last year at Protective Stadium, a game in which we led 20-3 at halftime. Their quarterback, is efficient. When I look at UConn, kind of my quick breakdown, and then to see what Darian might want to say. Um, they don't turn the ball over. We talked about that pre-show. They just
Hmm.
lost in double overtime, as I just stated. On offense, they're 55-45 split as it relates to pass runs. So 55% of their play calls are pass. They're a little bit more effective pass versus run. No INTs, despite passing the ball 37 attempts per game, which is pretty impressive. They don't give up a lot of sacks. Great red zone offense. They're very disciplined. So UAB is used to playing teams that are very disciplined with those service academies in the American Conference. So, good team ball on the defensive side is kind of a little bit on the flip side. I will say on the defensive side, like it seems like they give up a lot of yards per game. So I think that this is a team in which UAB is going to be able to move the ball against. Red zone defense, conversely, their red zone offense, they're pretty poor red zone defense. They're good on third down. So, I think this is a game in which UAB is going to be able to play in a shootout. Will the defensive confidence carry over from the Memphis game TBD? It's a winnable game at the very least. Despite UAB, I think being somewhere in a almost close to a two, it's definitely a two score, but around 12 or so points underdog. But with all that being said, Darian, as we approach this UConn game, I know you've seen a little bit of them, but what's your just general thoughts heading into this very important opportunity for UAB?
I just find it interesting as you was talking because I was like, everything he's saying stat wise kind of just match what I feel about them.
Mm.
It's like you said, solid team ball.
Yeah.
No player really stuck out. I mean, I think their quarterback deserves recognition because if you throw 18 touchdowns, no interceptions on the year, I think that's impressive, right?
Oh yeah.
You like that's very hard to do, and he puts up he put the ball in the air a lot. So just I don't care if you think the passes are safe or not risky and blah blah blah. Just to do that is impressive. So you know that you said that they are disciplined. I mean, if you look at the team, that nobody really stands out offensively or defensively. It's just you can't. It's not like you can look and be like, oh, this defensive end, this defensive tackle, oh man, this cornerback right here, oh, this running back is so dynamic. No, it's kind of like they block. You know, they they have their assignments. Quarterback puts the ball, generally
They don't.
speaking, in good spots.
Yeah. They don't shoot themselves
Receivers.
in the foot. That's a big thing. Like we talk about like UAB over the years. Like there's been so many times in which this UAB coaching staff, it seems, and the players probably feel like that they should have competed at a higher level, like that they should have won the game, right? There's been examples of that this year where it's like UAB should have been in that ball game against FAU. Should have probably held their own, if not won the game against Army at home. Like these games in which they should have, but why didn't they? Because they shot themselves in the foot. Like they did things that, weren't representative of how they practiced during the week or whatever. But this team right
But
here, UConn, they don't shoot themselves in the foot.
but we saw against Memphis what UAB is capable of if they
Yeah.
don't shoot themselves in the foot. So we
Yeah.
talked about the pace and slowing down, identification, playing solid ball. All of a sudden, we have playmakers like Solomon Beebe that can go 80 yards or whatever. You got Javon Jackson that you can give the ball to him in space on fourth down and he can make a guy miss easy
Hmm.
and he can get a first down. You got Iverson Hooks. We got Corey Milliner coming back.
Maybe that would be huge, man. Yeah.
That would be huge. You got guys that's dependable like Brandon Hawkins, right? All of a sudden you got these guys. And then you look at defensively, you got Jeremiah Vessel coming off the edge and making good plays. You got Delvin Gully, who I thought played a really good game out there at cornerback. Like shout out to Delvin Gully. I want to
Yeah.
highlight him. It's probably the most complete him and Tariq Watson. I think they both at the same time played their best game of the year. Like they made some big plays, man. We saw so many players like one guy I wanted to highlight. I know I was almost forgetting was Tyler McNichols. He has really ascended, has taken that starting linebacker spot, and he is growing with confidence day by day. McNichols looks really, really good. I think Devin Hightower has really settled into his role, but Tyler McNichols is starting to flash a lot at linebacker. You know, I think he's a true sophomore this year. I
Yeah, that's
think it's
crazy, right? He's only in his second year. Yeah.
only in his second year, and with that start and with that game, he just looks really good back there, man. Oh man, it was just so many real
Maury
positive.
Morrison. Why don't we haven't
I
said
was
Maury Morrison's name enough
uh,
this year. Two TFLs, and like I felt his presence like in that game. When you think about Maury Morrison, you think about Jamichael Rogers and Denver Warren, like those guys, in
but
addition to
who had their best game?
who's that?
The guy that we don't ever talk about, and that's Jonathan Allen.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah,
go
yeah,
go back and look at that game. 34 started that game. Shout out to Jonathan Allen.
yeah,
34 started that game. He had by far his best game of the. He was getting upfield. He was getting penetration. He was in the right spots. He was taking up double teams. I was impressed. And I'm like, man, we got a solid team. Like, look at this team. When we don't shoot yourselves in the foot, all of a sudden, I feel like the reason why I'm confident in a sense of I'm not saying here like we're going to win this game. I expect it. I'm confident that we have a chance to win this game, not because we beat Memphis, but because the way we did it.
yeah,
Like how the teacher wants you to show your work, right? We actually showed our work. Like we just didn't say, "Oh man, 4.4 is 8." Like how? Like show it to me. Like what? How did you come up with that? No, we actually got proof of concept from different players and what they need to do in order to be successful. So that's why I'm so excited. So seeing Jonathan Allen and Tyler McNichols and Delvin Goodley and all like seeing all of these guys just all of a sudden have their best game and just seeing it over and over through the whole game. Like be disciplined. Now I was disappointed in Jeremiah Vessel when he tried to hit stick the tight end, and
yeah.
then I'm like, dude, like we had two tackles like that. Sarai Bryant, the running back got through, he scored a touchdown. Just wrap him up and take him down. Like that frustrated me. But beggars can't be choosers. I understand you. I'm glad those are lessons that we can learn from. So we know if we get that situation again, wrap them up, take them down. I just truly believe, for me to wrap it up on my end about UConn, if UConn doesn't shoot themselves in the foot and UAB doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, y'all, because I did not watch a lot of UConn football, and I could be. So UConn, I don't Husky fans don't be mad at me. I feel like we have the better playmakers to say like, nobody's making mistakes, but if that means that means that the Jimmys and the Joes get to decide the outcome of the game. I think we got better Jimmy and Joes. I think they are better. They have been a more consistent team as far as discipline and being sound. I think they have the whole team concept down pat. I just don't think they have special players. And I could be totally wrong, Jimmy, but I think we have some guys that are actually, once they are put into the right system and once the play calling makes sense and everything is cohesive, I think we have guys that can shine, and we'll see. We haven't won a road game, so I don't know. We when was the last time we won on the road, man? Like it's been
I
forever.
think it was Bryant Vincent in his the 12th game of the year at La Tech, in his interim season. Like it's been like that long. I mean, it's been so long. Bryant Vincent's the athletic director at Louisiana Monroe. Um, so, but yeah, man, I think that this is a winnable game for UAB, and right now we're happy as hell. Like we're happy as hell right now. But UAB, if they go up and beat UConn, you're gonna start seeing us say some silly stuff now.
Oh man.
It's gonna be silly season. We're gonna be looking at that Rice game, and we're gonna be getting all excited. We're gonna be talking some really crazy noise. So
Okay, if we go up here and we win, let's say we win by a touchdown at least.
yeah.
Does that basically, I know you still have 4 more games to go, I believe, but does that basically just end all coach search talk?
Who? Um, I would say probably not. However, it is only going to ignite it. There is it seems like so let me say this. I think that the people that are making the decision right now, what they want, they don't care who the coach is, as long as it's someone that the UAB fan base can get behind and that person wins. And what else more could you ask for? And right now, both are happening. Meaning, it seems like the UAB fan base, the people that we know, the people that we talk to, like the UAB fan base is liking what they're hearing from Coach Mortensen. They're liking what they're seeing from Coach Mortensen. Obviously, the win is important, but there's other things that go into being a coach that just the way he approaches his interviews, like just the way that just everything about him. Like, I can't even name a thing that I don't like at this point. Like, everything is cool. So everybody is kind of creeping, like falling in love a little bit, like, hey, more, more, more. And so the fan base is kind of getting behind that. And then we're winning. Right now we're winning. So if those two things continue, the desire for Mort to get the tag removed will only grow. And I would say I feel like if you win 3 out of the first four, like even if let's say you lose UConn, you beat Rice, one or the other, and you come home and you beat North Texas, if you're 3-1 out of 4 games, then I think it's over. Like I
Yeah,
don't know how you do that because at that point he would have won a road game, which we didn't do. He would have beat a top 25 team, in which we didn't do. Like all those things would be coming together, and he's doing it. You want to talk about a difficult situation? He wasn't handed the keys to the most, talented UAB football roster ever, right? With a Conference
hmm
USA schedule. And that's not to be ugly to anybody. I'm saying the reality of the situation is that he was handed the keys to a team that was very much not coming off of top, beat BYU number 13 and all this stuff. Like this is like a team that was pretty devastated, like in terms of like how the season had gone and a fan base that was devastated on how the last 2.5 years has gone with a top 25 team coming into your stadium. And look what he's done thus far. So I'm not
right.
saying give the guy the job right now, but you want to talk about a difficult situation. Now you got to turn around and face a team that's 5-3. You got to travel all the way up to Connecticut. You're coming off a bye week. You can say, hey, a bye week's an advantage. I don't know. Like some people would argue, like just keep the momentum going. Like we didn't need the off week. Like just keep playing, right? So I don't know, man. But I think that if he gets 3 out of these first 4 games, I would almost say it's open, close, shut. But it also depends, Darren, and I'm going along with this. I love coaching searches. I mean, we don't know who else is being considered, so I don't want to fall in love with the first date, after the divorce. I mean, we got to go in a couple of dates and maybe see, but Mortensen has proven right now that he is really qualified and he very well may win this thing.
Yeah, he's getting the first crack at it, and right now it's kind of like, when you hang out with the girl and it's like y'all just hit it off on the conversation and y'all
Yeah.
talking. It's been 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's kind of like, man, and then you go home, y'all, nothing happened, y'all just chill, but it's kind of like I'm really thinking about this chick. Like, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see. That's where we at because you have to now. What we're gonna try to see is, we spoke on proof of concept. We're gonna see if it's consistency. I think that's the main telltale sign of a real head coach is consistency. Can you? What does it look like week to week? Not just flash in the pan. I need to see week to week. Win or lose, I need to see that proof of concept, right? That provides your team with the ability to have a chance to win every game. I think that's the most telltale sign of a head coach. And we'll get to see after, coming off a bye week, we'll get to see if Mort has that. I believe he has it. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for this game. It's cool to have this feeling again of excitement, true, real excitement as a Blazer fan, because coming after the FAU game, it was like very devastating, just very dark. So we'll see. We got a lot. I feel like we weren't able to talk about everything, but I think we got a lot in right there. Um, Hopefully we'll be coming back to you soon. Shout out to John, still pushing it through. He's been like this producer in the back. So I hope John is able to. I don't know if he has to turn off the recording when
Hey,
we
we don't know.
finish.
We don't even know if this is ever going to make it to YouTube. Let's be real. We might have just had a conversation. We don't even know what's going on right now. But we got trust in John. And if this was anything other than let's just talking for whatever it's been an hour with John, with our man John on the phone as well, that's enough for me. But we appreciate each and every one of y'all. We love you, John, man. We hope that this was even just an hour of just getting away and just hearing somebody talk about UAB has been awesome. And it's very important to us, man, that you know that we carry this forward. You know, when you're sidelined and you need somebody to step up and carry it, like we got your back on that, man. We'll do this.
Hey, listen, we'll be your Ryder Burton.
Yeah, we'll be your Ryder Burt. Hey, Ryder Burt and Iverson Hooks doing their thing, man. So
Look
this,
at look
but
at
this,
look at Jimmy and Darian. There's Ryder Burton, Jimmy, Iverson Hooks. Okay, I like
yeah,
that
I don't
too.
know if
Yeah.
we executed. We don't know if we execute as well as those guys, but we're gonna give the effort, right? It starts with effort, and that's what we're gonna do. But hey, shout out to everybody that's listening. Me and Darian might one of us may do a Patreon this week. You know, maybe not. Just depends on availability or whatever. But all of our goals are still in front of us, man. We got this good feeling. Darian talked about it. We've got something to cheer for. We can see, we can dream, we can, whatever, we can relish in this moment that we had for a couple of weeks. But Saturday is the next opportunity. You want to talk about moments? Let's have a moment. Let's win a road game. But regardless of whether we do or not, keep supporting this team. The staff's got some great staff members that we're rooting hard for. This team's got some great players that we're rooting for. And we're just hoping and praying everything comes together. But with that being said, Darren, you want to close us out, my man?
Yeah, I've been forgetting what to say, but on these closeouts, but Blazer Nation, let's keep dreaming. And I don't know if I don't know if John is gonna hit that end record. I hope this is
Keep dreaming.
awesome.
Hey, dream that we're gonna be able to get this on YouTube. We believe in
Yeah,
it. We appreciate y'all. Y'all be good.
because I don't think I can hit it. Oh, can I hit it right here? No, I didn't mean it like that. Yeah,
John could be
recording.
like in the bathroom right now, just like waiting. Like it's like